Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFLTV. We are in Riyadh ahead of 5v5 Queensbury versus Matchroom. I'm joined by the legendary Steve BUNCE. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, Cook. You don't need me to say it's hot, do you? I'm not going to do what everyone else has said. It's hot. Of course it's hot. You're in the middle of Arabia.
It's nice. It's nice.
It's gorgeous. I don't know why people are complaining. It's beautiful.
This is lovely. If we had this back home, no one would be moaning.
Oh, no, they would. They'd be moaning. It's too hot. What are you talking about? Of course they'd be moaning.
Steve, I just wanted to just address something. Post-fight, Fury Usyk. I was waiting for you. Were waiting for me. I was
You were waiting for me. It was a two-way street. Yeah.
Derek Chisora, I will fully blame him. Wanted to interview Alexander Usyk if he were coming out, so he pulled me in with the camera, and I was taken away in an instant. But Steve, thank you for that time as well. You know about this rivalry probably better than most. Probably pre-Frank and Eddie, with Barry involved in it back in the day as well. It's a weird thing. It's a proper British thing, isn't it, this?
Yeah, outside of boxing, people see it as two promoters who maybe didn't work together. I don't think they fully understand it. You do. You've been very close to Eddie since about 2011, and then you were trying to do your stuff over with Frank, and you know how big that divide was, how big that wall is. And I've had to explain to a few people that maybe haven't been around as long as you and I, that no, they weren't doing business in those years. They weren't doing anything in those years. They weren't bumping into each other in those years. And we started to get some rumours, I suppose you might have had them before me. I got them in about June or July last year. There might be something cooking with these two. They might do some business. And then, of course, Turki Al-Sheikh comes on the scene, and probably about August. I mean, if you know different, but it's about it, I think. Maybe September, because September's the first conference, so maybe it was even August. Yeah. It might have been earlier, who knows? But it's that sort of time. And at first, I treated it sceptically. And you know what? You remember that first conference at Wembley, right? Frank and Eddie were on the stage together. They hadn't met backstage at that point. No. They kind of bumped into each other going to the stage. And on the stage, you remember rightly, one was like that and one was like this. They weren't embracing then. That first press conference, you go back in your files. Yeah. They weren't embracing then. That conference was a bit of an icebreaker. And then they had dozens and dozens of meat to break the ice. This wasn't an instant, this wasn't an overnight success. It wasn't the overnight brotherhood that the two of them have got now. Trust me, it took a while to get to where they are now, Cook. You know, you've been on the inside, that's the truth.
It was George Warren that actually formally introduced them behind, backstage or wherever it was on that same day. Absolutely. It's a bit of a weird situation because I said to Frank and Eddie at the start of the week that Fury Usyk, the original fight was meant to have happened on December 23rd, and I asked them both, if that fight happened on December 23rd, do you think you'd be in the situation you are in now? They kind of ridiculed it, but when they really think about it, if that fight had happened, Joshua and Matchroom wouldn't have been in that situation on December 23rd, and we don't really know what would have happened. Maybe it still would have happened, but the fact that Joshua was on that card on the 23rd instead of Fury Usyk is a big reason why, obviously, they are where we are. But that's all in the past anyway. They're getting on. We're getting great fights. Yeah. Let's talk about the 5v5, Steve. We can just run into the picks. Are you picking?
Let me ask you this quickly. I'm doing the picks in a minute. Do you have, don't tell me what fight it is, do you have an unbelievably strong opinion on any of these five? Like, I mean, absolutely, you're convinced one of them is definitely going to 100% win or 99% win. Are you that strong on any of the five? Don't even tell me which one, but are you?
I would say no. I wouldn't put my house on any of the fights. I'm just picking because it's a 5v5 and I'm swaying towards one fighter over the other. I wouldn't say cast iron guarantee that any fighter would beat the other on any of them.
That's the answer I wanted, because that's how I feel. Yeah. You know, I've made a case since I've been here I can make a case for all 10 of them winning. Don't get me wrong. There's certain fights I don't think will end up in certain ways. Like, I'm sort of struggling to see some of them ending in early stoppage. I'm struggling to see some of them being a close points decision. But I'm seeing, say, in some fights, I'm seeing that could be a double stoppage. In this fight, I think it could be a points decision. You know what? If I named you five now, I might change my mind tomorrow. You know, do I think Raymond Ford can beat Nick Ball. Raymond Ford pulled off a 12-second win when he was an underdog, for God's sake. Nick Ball boxed out of his skin and beat the best featherweight in the world. How do you pick against either of those two in a fight like that? Willie Hutchinson, slightly unknown. We know he's a different man since he gained the extra poundage and moved up to light heavyweight from super middle. He's a totally different man than the one that got smashed to bits by Lennox Clark. I know it was a shock, but I was close. It was in COVID, remember? And my position, remember in those KUGAN fights, you had a position you couldn't move. I had a bit of yellow on the floor, and I was standing no further than that away from the ring. So, and I saw the pain on Willie's face in that fight. So that was really bad. And then I've seen Craig Richards in fights that he's meant to lose comfortably push really good fighters and get out of the ring regretting not doing a bit of work earlier. So I haven't got a clear one in that fight. Then we move to the two middleweights, neither of whom know how to lose. They're both undefeated, they're both young. It's the worst kind of potential cocktail. How are you going to pick solidly against one of them? Okay, this is their biggest test, fighting each other. Then as for the two heavyweights, I think Hrgovic and Dubois is a really interesting fight. I keep speaking to people. If I've spoken to 10 people, 7 fancy Hrgovic. I'm not so sure in that one. I think we saw some stuff with Daniel in the big Baby Miller fight that we wanted to see, that we liked. And then the big one, the big one's one of those fights. Tell me what the big one's about. You know the 50% of the people that say that Wilder will knock him out, and the 50% of the people that say that Zhang will survive and then stop an exhausted Wilder in round 8. Those are the first people going to send you a message on your phone when it's over. Told you that would happen, didn't I? No, but they tell you after it happened. You've got to send a warning out to all your friends. Get me your 5 predictions now, not when the fights are finished. So, do I just fancy Ball? Yeah, I think I just fancy Ball. Shiraz, I know if he uses his brain, if he gets involved, that could be bad. Just fancy Shiraz, maybe if he uses his brain. Do I fancy Craig? Yeah, I probably do, if he doesn't get sucked in, and I don't think he will get sucked in. Do I fancy Hrgovic? Probably just a little bit. Do I fancy Wilder over Zhang? Maybe. But again, none of them are strong about, you know. And I'd like to think I make a solid argument for all 5. And no draws, by the way. There is no chance. I don't see a single draw in the fight.
There's no way this fight night's going to progress without some sort of controversial moment. Come on.
Guaranteed. And also, the other thing is, I mean, maybe I'm the last person on Planet Boxing to realise it, that one team can win 3 fights, okay, and the other team can win 2 fights, but the team that wins 2 fights with the bonus from the captain could win. Yeah. So the guys that have fought their heart out and
Good point.
They won't be getting their 600,000 part of the 3 million. So if you're Willie Hutchins and you've knocked out Craig Richards, but you're on the losing side, you're fuming. You are fuming. That's what I just thought about that one. Thought I'd give you that one, son.
Good point, actually. I'm going to bring that up. If I get round HEARN and Warren,
people.
I'm going to say Steve Bunce said.
Don't do that. Don't do that old trick, all right? So I've heard somewhere.
Steve, let me just finish off by asking you, obviously, good news that the rematch has been set now for December 21st in Riyadh for Fury and Alexander Usyk. Steve, obviously we didn't catch up after the fight, but what in your opinion does Tyson Fury, who was in the first half of that fight, in my opinion, was comfortably winning that fight. Yeah. Say comfortably, he was winning it.
His head as well, yeah.
And then obviously the second half of the fight told a slightly different picture. But what does Tyson Fury, in your opinion, need to do to make sure it's not a repeat of what happened 2 weeks ago?
Fun enough, I was doing this on 5 Live last night with a couple of presenters, and I don't think he needs to do a lot more. I think he just needs to hold himself over those last 4 rounds. Maybe that's a slight some change in his conditioning, which was perfectly good. And also, Coog, we might find this out, we might not. People always deny it. But I'm wondering if when that fight was first cancelled, I'm wondering if he was too close to taper off. You know, there's tapering off. I'm wondering when he got that cut, or was it 10 days out or whatever, I'm wondering if he was perfect then. And I know he still looked good on the night, but I'm wondering if there was something went wrong with the tapering off. So I don't think there's nothing drastic he needs to do. I think he just needs to do more of what he did and just maybe be in slightly better shape. And I think that's possible.
You think Usyk though will remain a threat as long as the fight is going on? Because that round 9, not saying it came out of nowhere, but it was a very heavy round there for Alexander Usyk that Tyson was in trouble for. Has he got that in his artillery now for us to not rule him out for the whole 12 rounds?
I think Alexander Usyk is without doubt a better fighter in the next fight. 100% I do, Coog. He's worked out some things. He won't find himself 5-3 down going into the 9th or whatever, however you had it, however I had it. That's not going to happen. I think he'll be slightly closer, slightly sharper, slightly more confident he can deal with Big Tyson. Because what he was doing in the first 4 or 5 rounds, even if he was nicking a couple of them, is he was finding, he was experimenting, he was playing with angles. He doesn't need to do as much of that this time. He's done his graft, he's done his work. I think Usyk will be even more dangerous in the rematch. I'm convinced. I know I can see your face. I'm telling you, I don't think it's a case of he goes away and then he comes back and he's a million miles better. No, in my opinion, Usyk's a big danger in the rematch.
Last one. Do you think Tyson will come in strategically heavier this time than he did for the first fight?
No, because if he thinks it's going to go to 12, he won't want to be carrying any more bulk than he was carrying the other day. I think he might change his shape around a little bit. I'll be amazed if he's significantly different in weight. But I'll tell you I am pleased that, I know you haven't asked a question, it might have been your last question, but I'm pleased it's December and not that September or October potential date. I think he needs that extra couple of months this summer. He needs to do nothing in June, July, August, except not swell to 27 stone. He needs to wrap himself with all those kids around him, disappear into his Morecambe mansion, turn his head off, turn his phone off and start enjoying himself.
And September 21st, we expect that to be Joshua versus the winner of Hrgovic and Dubois.
Yeah, I think so. And then by then, hopefully, the IBF gets upgraded to full title. And I mean, you're hearing all sorts of rumours about who'll be on the bill. I gave up counting rumours years ago because I worked out that at some point the rumours become fact. And at some point the rumours become lies. So if you don't cover them, guess what? You're not right, but what's more, you're never wrong.
Steve Bunce, thank you very much for talking to IFLTV. We look forward to a bit of a historic night here again in Saudi Arabia with this 5v5 concept. Who will come on top? Will it be Queensberry? Will it be Matchroom? Will it be a winning Queensberry team in terms of number of fights, like you said, that end up losing because of a points defection? Who knows?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm looking for Paddy, my producer at BBC 5 Live. He said so. He said, generally, he said, I might go away for a pint or go and get a sandwich. I'm not leaving any one of these fights from start to finish. 7 hours of ringside. Loving it.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Steve Bunce.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.